Okay, hello, welcome to this Minka Lesk tutorial. What a pleasure it is. This is part one, and I don't know how many parts it's going to be. Yeah, it's a work in progress as to how I'm going to be doing it. And yeah, this is one of the first ones I want to be doing to a slightly higher standard, and obviously there I'm just deciding what pose to go for. Quite like the one with the sword held aloft there like that. It's quite a nice open pose. The other one had the gun across the front, and whilst that was interesting, but maybe that's one for another time. I don't know. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going with this pose here. Primed or undercoated in Mechanicus Standard Grey, as you can see. Apologies also for the different lighting aspects you get during the course of these tutorials because I have to grab time as and when I can. So to begin with, Zandri dust, that will be for the fatigues and the under jacket, that kind of thing. Using a wet palette for the beginning of this tutorial, uh, partially because I know these types of colors dry quickly, and I didn't want them to dry. It was a sunny day as well, so sometimes I use a wet palette because I don't want them to dry out on me. That's not the most fun of things to do. So although you see shadows there, there is quite good light. Well, hopefully it's good enough to see. I am, this is a work in progress constantly, as we all are, just trying to improve the quality and the production of this type of a video. So I have since, believe it or not, I've since increased the lighting in my hobby room to get a better lighting. But no matter how many lights I seem to have, even with natural light coming in front of me, never seems quite right to me. I'm, I don't know. Maybe one day I will get it. Maybe. So the majority of people, I put out a poll asking what type of tutorials you would like to see. Do you want to see the quick, fast, snappy ones, or I start painting like the trousers or whatever, and then it cuts to having them all done? Or did you want me to see every little brush stroke, which is what I'm kind of doing here? Or did you want a combo of the two? And it was kind of overwhelmingly in favor of seeing every brush stroke, seeing the whole process, which I appreciate because they happen to be my own personal favorite type of tutorial. I like to sit down and watch the tutorials go through that process. I didn't really have a direct color scheme in mind, and I've seen a couple of color schemes for Minka Lesk, but I kind of wanted them to be. I kind of wanted the color scheme to be more or less in line with my current Cadian's forces that I have already. I figure that'd be the most sensible precaution that I could take with this one. Not would be too many Minkalesques that I'm going to be painting. I've got another one to do. The one that comes in a box set. Is it Hell's Last? I can't remember now, but yeah. So a variety of different brushes as well. Artist Opus. It's my chance to use these nice, beautiful, beautiful brushes. Artist Opus do. They put out some really wonderful brushes. I for many years I was kind of like brush is a brush, but it so isn't. I know that now. I know that now. I've learnt the error of my ways, and hopefully, moving forwards, that will be prevalent in my my work moving forwards. I find it's such a therapeutic process to do this. So I'm going to be putting this one out as part one of a possible 4-part tutorial. That will probably be my next question to everybody. Do you want them put out in parts? You want them all in one, like a 3 or 4 hour tutorial, or do you want them put it segregated into parts? I don't mind either way. They're kind of filmed in the sections anyway. Anyhow, I mean, for this part here, it could be like you do the trousers on on undergarments on one day, another day, or even another week. You might get to some armor or skin or whatever it might be. It's a really great model. I really dig it. I like it a lot. I'm kind of looking at that. I've got the model in front of me on the desk, just looking at it, thinking, not done yet, but it's looking quite good. I quite like it. Yeah, I quite like it. We do need some more highlights on her. Once the highlights are done, I kind of really dig the look overall of any model once the highlights start getting put down. Anyway, that's not for a long way off yet. So we're still making sure that I'm getting this right. As you can see, I'm not really editing anything out at all. I don't think I've edited anything out of this at all. Not on this first part, not even the mixing of the paints. I don't think I might have done a couple like pre-mixed paints, but for the majority of mixes, like with this Sandry dust, it would be watered down, 1-to-1 mix, so 1 part water to 1 part Sandry dust. It's like whatever. I put a blob of paint down, I put a blob of water down of equal measure, and that comprises my mix. But I like quite thin, really thin layers and paints these days. I always followed you know the thin coats rule, as it were. But I never really got it till later on. But it's probably looking at more like 3 or 4 coats these days. The more you paint, I think, the more you come to appreciate that. It's about building up of layers and textures. I'm a huge fan of textures, and looking back on it, I probably would have textured the armor plating going forwards. I will do that now, but yeah, this is a bit more old school. Coming on to the armor with Castellan Green, which is a main color of my Acadian forces, the Castellan Green, and the armor plating. It's only a little bit of armor, so it's not too much. A couple of knee pads, shoulder pads, breastplate, and backplate. It's not like a Space Marine where the majority of the miniature is the armor. And this is a really good paint to put on, because you're like looking at, wow, you could almost squint and be like, "Ooh, I could put this on the tabletop now," and you know what it was, what it represented. Especially once you get your first layer of like skin tone on it, like, wow, yeah, I could do that. We could go with the grey sword. It's kind of what the early metallics were based upon in the olden days before metallic paints were a thing. I remember that. Yeah, that's probably where the whole non-metallic metal thing came from old school painters who had no choice but to make it look metallic in other ways. I do dabble with that on this model, not full scale, nothing crazy. We will come on to that sort of thing at a later date, and that's absolutely fine. I remember I was having quite a good day when I was painting this one. I was firm and secure in the way I was able to hold the model. Starting to get the hang of the whole focus thing now as well. Although I have to say, well, you guys know, anybody that does tutorials or paints on camera knows this isn't the natural angle I would use to be painting this model. I'm one of these people that has to have the model like almost touching my nose almost to be painting it. So this is say different for me, but because I've done a lot of tutorials, but it is not the most comfortable for me. But yeah, I think I finally found my camera angle now for tutorials. So that's good. Yeah, I think the whole camera down look is best for me. I know other people like it from behind them, from almost behind their chair, zoomed in on a model with like a plain background in front of them. That works with some people. I've tried that method. I have tried that method. In fact, I think maybe one of my Cadian Shock Troop tutorials might have been filmed like that. If not, at least one tutorial I've done in years gone by has been done that way, and I found it such a faff, to be honest. I just didn't pursue it anymore. I think we're like halfway through this part now. I'm just carefully applying the Castellane green over areas and then going back over the areas that have dried and going over it again, and try to use single strokes if I can on the brush, either top to bottom or bottom to top. Usually top to bottom works best for me. Top to bottom and left to right. That's my preferred single stroke techniques for painting. But of course, depends which stage you are painting, whether it's the beginning stages or what, because you put your first, like, especially on a space marine model, you can your first coat can be, well, all over the entire miniature, can't it, almost, apart from maybe the gun or whatever, and you're not doing really single strokes. And although I suppose you could, one method I used to use for hand priming, sometimes I used to like to hand prime a model, um, so that I could get to know the miniature, because you'll be spending a long time with that miniature as you paint rather than discovering the nooks and crannies as you go. That can slow you down somewhat. It does me anyway, but if I prime the model by hand, I can go around the entire model, noting which parts are more difficult than others, are difficult to get to, that kind of thing, what sort of angle I could be using. And I can practice brush angles as well doing that. So I would typically hand prime with a small brush so that I could get used to that. You know, like practice painting the skin areas, how difficult it is to get to the face or the fingers or whatever it might be, the feet, it depends on the model, but that's just one method I use of kind of like just getting to know the model, as I used to say, get to know the model. Of course, by the time you've been painting for an hour or so, you kind of know the model pretty well anyway, or you know each part of the model. But if you do that sort of technique with a priming attitude, you kind of know the whole model as opposed to just the clothing or just the skin or just the weapons or whatever. So it's a good technique. I don't know if other people do that. They might just find that too much of a too much of a faff to take that long with priming and just spray it over and get it done. But if you're painting, although I've done that with this model, I did spend I sprayed it from a rattle can, didn't I, of Mechanica Standard Grey. But that said, I did spend an inordinate amount of time just looking at the model and studying it and visualizing. Okay, how am I going to go about that, and how am I going to tackle that, and all that kind of thing. So really, it's not too bad. If you're going to be painting, or at least attempting to be painting to a higher standard, or a higher standard than your norm, then I feel you need to do these things. You don't cut corners on any of it, really. As I say, I only sprayed primed it because I'd already done that. I'd done the looking around the model bit. Otherwise, I would quite happily have just hand painted the one with like a small to medium brush, gone around the whole model, and practiced all the bits and bobs that I wanted to, just to see how easy or difficult it is to do the various sections. So Jasper's skin there now, look. That's a Vallejo paint. It's a wonderful undercoat for skin. It's sort of like a Bugsman's Glow, not exactly the same. It flows very well. It's nice to mix that by. I mixed up a little bit too much there, so I did actually end up using some of that on a different model as well, which was handy. Not too much skin. This is where it gets interesting. I think you've done a couple of paints, and you're on your third paint. I think your third paint's where you really can start to think, yeah, I can see what it is now. I can see where it's going. This, of course, is without highlights. And of course, as with any of my tutorials, I'm not saying this is how you paint this model or any model that I put in my videos. This is just how I paint it, how my mind works. I don't think really I have a logical system for where I go next. Sometimes I go to highlights before I do another. I usually do base layers first, get them down first, but sometimes I can, if it's just like, I don't know, like an item of jewelry, say like a bracelet or something, I might stick the highlights on that whilst I'm there with some metallics or golds or whatever it is I'm using, and I might do that. But for the most part, I put the base colors down like you do. You all know this. Get your wash of some description or inks. Depends how you want to do that. You know, you get different results with different methods, don't you? And you find your preferred way of doing these things. So everything I'm doing on this model it's my preferred method that I've gotten used to over the years, I suppose you could say. So it'd be nice to get this first part out to you all. As I say, please bear with like the recording quality and that. I do. I am a bit of a is a bit of a work in progress with like the FPS on the on the video. I never know which is best to use. I mean, at least you can see what I'm doing, which early videos you can't always see what I'm doing exactly, but at least this way you can see, even if it's a little bit jerky. Apologies for that. I'll try and get more smoother ones done. I mean, who knows? Future segments may be smoother. So that'll be good. See, I didn't notice that. I mean, I didn't really have to be that careful with the fingers, and I do go over like the hilt of the sword and that a little bit, but I wasn't. I wasn't just blobbing it on like I could. See, that's a different method or different technique of painting entirely. If you wanted to get things out for speed, that's a totally different kettle of fish, totally different method of painting. And when I'm painting or intending to paint as I am with this model, I'm intending to paint it to a slightly higher standard than my normal, like tabletop standard. And I'm not saying this is high standard in the world of miniature painting by any um, degree. There's some absolutely fantastic painter. What I'm talking about is, for me personally, I mean, I think I'm an all right painter. I think I'm quite good, certainly good enough for my own expectations and my games that I play and whatever else. I'm far more than happy with. And I've been doing it for a long time, so I think I'm quite a good painter. Not the worst, anyway. Anyway, we're going with scale color black now, and I on an artificer layer brush, just because it was there, I think, if I remember rightly. But I prefer this black to say Abaddon black because it's like more of a matte black, I would say, than anything. Abaddon black can be a lot slightly glossy in um, aesthetically, whereas this once it dries quite matte. It's a bit thinner too, so I find it easier to work with. Of course, black is black. If you're doing a tutorial and say, "Look, I'm painting his or her boots black," then use whatever black you want. And this is just the black I prefer, and I've come to prefer over the years. And I'm still finding new preferred paints. But if I have a preferred black, it's this one. It's easier to paint, and for me, it looks better. It's easier to manipulate on the model as well. I just find with something like Abaddon Black, it's very thick, and when you water it down, it's still, I don't know, pigment heavy per percentage, like per drop of paint. It's still kind of pigment heavy. This is a bit thinner, I would say. It's not. Uh, it's still opaque. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you don't see through or anything like that. But one coat you can see it's got black on it, and it's pretty handy. I just find it. I don't know. I can't explain it exactly. Like I say, you all come to get your own preferred types of paints and that, don't you? And this is just one of the ones I prefer. I think I got this. I think I discovered this from watching Richard Gray, who's a fantastic, phenomenal painter. And I figured, well, if he's using it, it must be pretty good. He likes it for a reason. I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And I'm very glad I did because it's definitely my new favorite black paint now. So when I run out of black, I'll probably be just replacing it with this in future. Another one I have to find is a good white. I still haven't found the best white paint yet. Still working on that. Don't think we come across any in this um, first part. So I think we're all right for a minute. There you are. This is what you asked for with regard to my tutorials. Literally, I am painting it pretty much live in real time. Yes, it's pre-recorded, but no edits, and I don't, from one part to the next, I don't go off camera and fix any errors. If I do make errors in a tutorial, I've decided I will try and fix them on camera so that you can see how I go about fixing it. Because I think that is, I have seen tutorials where people do that, and I find that far more useful, to be honest, rather than them saying, "Oh, I messed up that bit. I fixed it off camera." No, I want to see how you fix it. That's what I want to see. So this is so as a bit of a caveat, this is how I paint Minka Lesk to my higher standard, warts and all. It really is. We're almost at the end of this section now, so I will put them up as at least 3 parts, maybe 4. I think 4. Yeah, actually thinking about it, it's going to be 4. So I've just got so much layering to do, and I might ask again once they're out. And the hard questions: is this still your preferred method of tutorial that you want to watch? I guess you can use them to paint along, like a sort of like a paint along video. As you can see, I'm just trying to take my time. I'm not rushing. That's what was nice about this. I think when you try and paint to a higher standard, you don't feel like you've got to rush anything, and that's nice. And I think that helps the overall process. Ultimately. Yeah, I think it was just boots and gun on the black. Pretty sure. So this is pretty much how she looks at the end of this first part here. Again, I find myself constantly changing angles, how I'm holding the model. So that's another thing I'm still getting used to is the whole focusing, fixed focus and autofocus. There are pluses and minuses for both, depending at which point in your tutorial you are. So I've got to have a certain distance between me and painting. I can't have it too far away. But there she is. This should mark the end of the first section. So thank you for watching this first part. I will see you on the next part of Painting Minka Lesk. Thank you very much for joining me. It's much appreciated. Please give the video a thumbs up if you can. And I'll see you out there, folks. Thank you.